Hi, we're Doves, and we're going to talk you through our new record, Kingdom of Rust, track by track.
It started life as a bit more of a rocky song, and Jez did a different version, started a different version of it, which sounded quite different. It had the different hi-hat pattern in the 16s, and it sounded like it could turn into more of an electronic kind of sounding song. So we decided really to run with that, and it's one we all felt. It felt new to us and fresh for us. I suppose it's touching on the kind of areas we used to go down with Sub. But so far as Doves, we'd never really has done anything quite as electronic as this. So it felt new and exciting for us. So we ran with it, and the theme, Jez has talked about the theme of like imaginary closing credits to the film Blade Runner, that's really what we were sort of trying to get at, really, trying to get that kind of futuristic, melancholic kind of vibe. And it wasn't obvious at first. It was the opener for the album. We were really quite confused about what was going to be the first track on the record. But after lots of different comps on the album, it became pretty obvious that's got to be the opening track on the record. Really good memories of this song, because it's one of the only times we've kept the original demo recording of the bulk of the music. We rented a cottage up in the Peak District in a place called Ian, and quite often we go up and take quite a kind of basic setup and start just demoing and going through ideas, but we always generally re-record things. We're quite fussy like that in the studio. This was the first time we just put up some mics in this cottage, and we were just working ideas out, and we really captured something of that, and it became quite clear that we had to use the original recording of it. And I think it's one of the only few times we've ever done that. So it's really nice as you're writing music to actually capture it as opposed to going back to it. And I suppose song-wise, it's a road trip. Is the song is about somebody going back to where they're from and looking for something. We try not to be too specific about what they're looking for, because it's up to the listener really to decide, really. But yeah, good memories of that song.
Again, as Andy mentioned before, later on, we became quite... The tendency of Doves is to, when we're writing and recording, is like we throw loads at songs, and it was quite a sprawler. It was definitely inspired by krautrock, things like Can, the drummer out of Can, Jackie Leaps it. It's got this sort of hypnotic sort of beat, and that came. The vocals, the first couple of lines and the chorus came for it. Literally, we were just jamming, and we tend to pass a microphone around while we're feeling out the melodies. And I loved it sometimes when it just comes, the lyrics just came straight away, like Johnny Be Lost. It was hinting at like things like Johnny Be Lost, Johnny Be Calm, Don't Walk Away. And it was just quite instinctive, and when that happens and you don't have to sort of second guess it, it just feels right. Then it's really great when that happens. There's not a lot of mind, a lot of wrestling going on. It's just something you're hitting on something. So that was about 8 minutes. We just became really, really good at editing ourselves and making this time a really taut, concise record, I hope. And like Jez was tinkering over Christmas as he always does. We thought we'd finish this record, this song, Outsiders, and then Jez goes, you know what? I've done this really mad edit. And I'm like, oh man, well, you can't take the third verse out and stuff. But we heard it, and it was like, yeah, it's like you've kind of made it more just a little short 2-minute 57 blast of sort of like rock and roll, So it was really interesting how it's hard to take a back seat sometimes, but when you do and have an overview of your music and you can step back and go, you know what? Yeah, we need to chop this one down, and it ended up really for the better of the song. I think this was even hanging around from the Some Cities album, wasn't it? In various, the verse, we had a verse, and and a chorus, but without any chorus melody. So that's probably one of the, one of the oldest songs from the starts of our writing sessions that actually made it. Because most of the things we wrote at first kind of just got left behind, they just fell by the wayside. So yeah, Winter Hill's got a kind of, I love it, Andy's lyrics in this one. It's quite, evocative, just walking through the country and, climbing up to a favourite place, a favourite, a special spot maybe. Yeah, you can see it from your house, can't you, Winter Hill? So yeah, it's just, it's just nice to have it. We tried to get, I think we tried to do things with it on Sub-Cities, but it didn't make it.
This is about a train journey. I think there's a lot of themes of travel running through the record. There's references to trains and planes. That wasn't really designed that way, but listening back on the record, it became quite clear to me. There's quite a few, themes of trying to get somewhere and getting from A to B, if you like. But yeah, 1003 is quite. I think Jez said it's quite. He thinks the whole record's quite schizophrenic, but it does work as a kind of a whole, hopefully. And that song's a good example of that. It really is like 3 songs in one. It's one we're trying to work out live at the moment, and it's quite tricky because I don't think you've heard it, have you? It changes. There's tempo changes to try and get your head round, which is we'll get there with it. But yeah, song 1003. Greatest Denier. That was a real latecomer on the record. I think it came in like November, the last song really. It really works on the record as a real pick-me-up, the tempo. And it's really, things that always seem to really come together in the last stages of our record. The slow will always take a while to get going, but by the end of a record, the songs really do start flowing, and that was a good example of that.
This one came quite late as well. It was just me fooling around at home, layering up my voice, almost like Crosby, Stills and Nash. Very simple song, just 2 verses, and we added an Indian instrument called the Dilruba, and we got a guy called Baloo from London to come down. It's like a cross between a sitar and an Indian violin. So it's got this lovely humming melody, and Baloo just joined and followed this melody. It just felt quite Eastern, and it's a really, where it is on the record, it acts as a sort of a calming moment amongst all the intensity, and it was just, I still talk in terms of side 1 and 2, which is like vinyl and things like that. So this in my head opens up side 2. But kids won't know what side 2 is anymore, will they? Just, I'm not trying to be condescending, but have you got any records? Vinyl, man. Get it on vinyl. Spellbound. This one, like compulsion, really, and maybe this sort of theme is almost like doomed love or destructive love, an itch you can't stop scratching. Someone who's maybe not that good for you, but you just can't help falling for them every time. It's like almost like Dusty Springfield, you don't have to say you love me, and songs like that, and it hit me, it felt like a kiss. I don't know, it's just got that. We kind of wanted to write a sort of bitter, sweet love song, and Spellbound is more sensitive than compulsion maybe when thinking about it. Spellbound is just someone who just captivates you and bewitches you. Kind of charming. It's got that sort of burlesque sort of waltz time sort of feel to it. This is probably the closest thing to maybe something off Lost Souls, maybe from the first record. And when we were writing it before, have we been here before? Maybe echoes of Sea Song in the sort of waltz thing. But no, we just felt it was too good a song to worry about whether have we covered this ground before, but certainly not lyrically. It's got that, bewitching element to it. another late arrival. It's great because, you know, by September last year we were worrying about what we had. Have we got, you know, is it all making sense here? And then like 3 or 4 tracks came in close succession. The Greatest Denier, Compulsion, Birds Flew Backwards, and Jez had this sort of really groovy sort of disco bass line and this like interesting drum pattern, and we just built it from there. Came together really quick. Really happy with the way this one turned out. It's kind of got nods to sort of 70s sort of punk disco. And it's, yeah, Andy said before, it's, you know, it's interesting when it's something that we haven't done. It's not going to change the history of music, but for us personally, it's an area that we've not really touched on with the 3 of us. So it's great when we can surprise ourselves and do a sort of track that's quite different, like, you know. So yeah, we're pretty happy with the way it turned out.
Which is us attempting, I think, a garage rock record. We love a lot of the, you know, the Nuggets box set kind of garage. We're always fans of that, but we've never really attempted to do anything like that. But it was another. That track really almost didn't make it. Jez tried quite late on in the process, just stripping all the bass out of the record, and it was suddenly to get that really tinny kind of 60s sound, and it just made the song come alive. The bass, you know, we're sort of big fans of bass usually, but that seemed to drag the song down, so we just took it out, and it kind of really flew without it. And it's a dual vocal from me and Jimmy, and that's something we've not done since Lost Souls. And it's just, you know, nice to experiment with that kind of stuff. And yeah, the theme of the songs really is, yeah, living in a haunted house. I suppose the song our Dean Taylor, The Ghost in My House, was a bit of an inspiration really. We love that song, it's a bit of a Northern Soul classic. And I suppose that's our kind of homage to that kind of songwriting. We felt, you know, a really kind of nice, positive way to finish the record. Not that it's a bleak record or anything, but it's quite intense at times. But it's just feels like a bit of a release at the end of the record. It was originally about 7 or 8 minutes long, but we got quite good at editing our songs towards the end, and we did chop into it. So it's actually quite a bit of a shorter song. Beautiful guitar break from Jez, which had more instrumentation, I think, originally, and we stripped all that away. So it's literally just the guitar in the middle section, and it's melodic, and it just seems a really nice way to finish the record.